What's going on, everybody? C4 here today, continuing with my NFL predictions, and we're going to be looking at the NFC South. We've done a lot of divisions before this one, so if you haven't checked those out, check the uploads. You'll probably find your favorite team to get upset about my opinion for the upcoming season. And now we know with training camp and the preseason just starting up not too long from now, it's time to stick your neck out on the line before things are fully clear and make some hot takes. So I'm going to try my best to rate all teams in the NFC South from 1 through 4, as well as giving, kind of my projections for each individual team for along the way. So what we're going to do here, start at number 4. The NFC South, I'll say right now, is very tough. I wouldn't say it's as competitive as some of the top divisions, but it's definitely, it has its claim to be one of the more competitive divisions in football, that's for sure. So any of these teams, I think 2 teams from the NFC South are going to make the playoffs. I think obviously the division leader, I think second place is going to get wild card. But that second place, it's really what team can stay healthy and what team can get hot. But we're going to start at number 4, and I'm going to have the Carolina Panthers finishing at bottom of the division here with a 6-10 record with a ceiling of 9-7, which would put them, right up in the mix for wild card. I think 9-7 is what you need to do. Obviously, that's usually kind of the standard mark or average, final win-loss record to get a wild card spot. But I think they definitely could be 9-7. But Panther fans, before you get upset, the year that they went 15-1, I thought they were going to be terrible. So take that for what it's going to be. Looking at the Panthers, MVP for me is going to be Luke Kuechly. I think he's going to stay concussion-free, stay on the field for all 16 games, and, remind everyone how and why he is the best middle linebacker in football today. Their bust for me, I think it's going to be Curtis Samuel. I was going to put Cam Newton here, but after last year, it's kind of ragging on the guy to be bust back-to-back years. But if I could, it probably would be Cam Newton there once again. Maybe, a little bit on him, a little bit, because I don't think their offense is where it needs to be. But I'm just going to go with Curtis Samuel just because I think it's going to take him one more year until he has the NFL style and the NFL mechanics all down packed. Everyone knows he was kind of a floater, if you will, on the offensive side of the ball for Ohio State. Offensive weapon, played wide receiver, played running back. Usually those type of players are good for a couple gimmicky plays. They might, get a break because they are an electrifying athlete. But for the most part, for running a route tree, which they need him to be a wide receiver that can produce, I think it's going to take him until next year to get it going, kind of like Jabril Peppers on the Browns at the safety spot. I think it's going to take these guys roughly a year or so to really make that full impact. I know coming into a team right now in Carolina that needs an electrifying player, I don't think he's going to meet some of the fans' high expectations in his rookie season. For sleeper, it was kind of tough actually picking a sleeper on the Panthers, so I guess I'm going to go with Taylor Moton. I think their offensive line, especially the tackles, are very weak. I think Matt Killow's over the hill, and I think they had Darrell Williams or something like that listed as a right tackle with Moton as number 2 on the depth chart. I think sooner than later, Moton is a very, very good athlete. He will eventually at least end the season, if he's healthy, as a starter on that offensive line because he can play guard and or right tackle. Looking at their first-round pick, Christian McCaffrey, I'm saying 1,300 yards from scrimmage and only 4 touchdowns. I think with Jonathan Stewart still on the roster, they may be more inclined to use the safer hands, if you will, near the red zone and let Jonathan Stewart kind of red zone vault some of these, as well as getting some decent snaps. But I think Christian McCaffrey is the playmaker right now. I know there's some blown out of proportion Kelvin Benjamin weight stuff coming in. People are saying he's the Eddie Lacy at the wide receiver spot. I think he'll definitely get down. It's just off-season weight. But that just kind of tells you his mindset going into this upcoming season, at least coming into OTAs in shape. But when you look at a guy like Christian McCaffrey, I think he's going to be electrifying for this offense, and that's, he's definitely one of those candidates, along with Leonard Fournette and a couple other guys for Offensive Rookie of the Year. The strength for me of the Carolina Panthers is certainly their front seven, very solid front seven. Got some aging veterans that they added that are still, I think, going to produce. Obviously, Julius Peppers is a Panther legend returning home. I think he actually will have a decent season. You can probably get 6-7 sacks from him, as well as everyone else on that front seven. Their weakness, I have as wide receiver, just because I don't really like the dynamic of their wide receivers. 2 big, slow guys, 2 jump ball guys, I guess we'll say, to be positive. But I don't really see the efficient route runner. I don't really see the guy that's the field separator that's proven Obviously, that's what they're bringing Curtis Samuel to take the top off the defense, but he's not proven. So I'm going to say right now I'm a little bit skeptical of the wide receivers and the playmakers out there, as well as the offensive tackles. As I stated, I think Matt Khalil's over the hill, and obviously they got to sort out that right tackle spot. And Cam Newton needs to stay upright, or else you're going to get what happened last year. I think it's still going to be a little bit of that until the Carolina Panthers dedicate either a draft or an offseason on improving that offensive line and getting Cam Newton more weapons. That's not just Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. Going to number 3 in the NFC South, I have the New Orleans Saints going 8-8 with a ceiling of 9-7. Like I said, the Panthers, Saints, and who I'm going to say at number 2, I think they all have a potential to get the second place in the NFC South and challenge for a wild card spot. I just kind of look at the schedule. It's how it fell in my opinion. So the Saints 8-8. That's what I think is going to happen. MVP, obviously, is going to be Drew Brees. He's going to, doesn't really matter who they have at wide receiver now that they lost Brandon Cooks, which was one of the dumbest trades I've ever fucking seen. Drew Brees, Sean Payton, they'll make it work. He'll have another insane year as he, hopefully, when all said and done, is someone that despises Peyton Manning. Drew Brees can take a couple of those records away from him. For their bust, I'm going to go Ted Ginn. I'm going to say it's relative just because, a lot of depth charts and a lot of people are saying he's going to be the wide receiver 2 there. He was kind of the decent, deep threat for Cam Newton in Carolina. I really think Willie Snead is going to be better and have a better stat line than Ted Ginn. So it's just relative. I just think Ted Ginn, where he's looked like at the 2, I think he's going to be more like a wide receiver 3. Then transitioning to my sleeper, I'm going to go Willie Snead. I think Willie Snead is going to benefit the most from Brandon Cooks no longer being on the roster. He's obviously not as electrifying an athlete as Brandon Cooks, but I think with what they use Brandon Cooks in that offense, you can really do a lot of the same things with Willie Snead. Probably not the same efficiency, but it's going to be pretty close, and Willie Snead's been underrated for quite some time. Looking at the first round draft picks, Marshawn Lattimore, I'm going to say around 3 interceptions. These guys a big-time athlete. And looking at Ryan Ramczyk, especially with the injury to Terran Armstead, he can play left or right tackle. I'm saying 14 starts for Ramczyk, so it's a nice little rookie season for him in offensive lineman. Looking at the strength of the Saints is obviously the quarterback. It's Drew Brees. He's the one glaring strength. And the weakness, I'm going with the linebackers. Stephon Anthony has struggled. Craig Robertson's, they kind of trying to see what sticks with the wall with A.J. Klein and Manti Te'o coming in free agency. Like I said, a little uncertain with the linebackers. Still, the defense as a whole, it's got a little bit better in some areas. Some areas, there's some uncertainty. I don't know if this defense is going to be up to par to make this the big attempt year with Drew Brees, but you never know with that offense and with Drew Brees. You always have a chance. Just, for the love of God, make it so that he doesn't have to score 45 points for the Saints to have a chance of winning the game. Look at the number 2 team in the NFC South. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a 10-6 record with a floor of 8-8. Again, still not good enough to be the number 1 and still has that chance. If things don't go their way, if they get a couple injuries along the way, they could just be, they have strengths and weaknesses. They're definitely not a complete team. Very much like the Saints and Panthers, and it could be anyone's chance to get the second wildcard spot in the NFC South. But I think the Bucs, with the high-powered offense they have right now, 10-6 is optimistic, and I think, it's gonna be real tough to stop them, especially if their defense that looks pretty good on paper actually comes to play this year. Looking at the Bucs MVP for me is going to be Jameis Winston. He's going to have to take that next step, cut down on the interceptions, which is going to be a big if for him because he struggled with picks at Florida State, has struggled with picks his first couple of years here in the league. But, I think with what he has right now at offense, 4,000-plus yards and 30 touchdowns should be the floor you're setting if you're a Bucs fan for Jameis Winston this year. Now with, O.J. Howard, Deshaun Jackson, Chris Godwin, just name a few to add to the mix. It's looking good there for them. Bust, I'm just going Chris Baker. Fuck that guy. For sleeper, I'm going with Quan Alexander. I just find that this guy's constantly just not mentioned. He has great games. I know him from fantasy standpoint as an IDP linebacker. He's outstanding. He gets like 15 points a week, and he's constantly just overshadowed, never talked in with the top linebackers, even though his stats are really good. So, statistically speaking, he's not a sleeper. If you're a Bucs fan, he's definitely not a sleeper to you. But to the rest of the league, they're never talking about Quan Alexander. So until, he gets some more recognition, he's my sleeper. Look at the first-round draft pick, O.J. Howard. I'm going to say 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. Maybe the yards are a little bit high because there are a lot of mouths to feed on that offense. And, you have the chance that Cameron Brate's going to eat into a lot of his touches at tight end. Him and Jameis Winston established a very solid chemistry, but O.J. Howard is too damn good to keep off the field. You can line up a wide receiver. He's that electrifying. I think they may have some sets just like that. I think O.J. Howard is in for a big year here in this offense. Look at the strength of the Bucs. I'm saying the wide receivers. They got 4 wide receivers that are definitely serviceable. And Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans, who's, I've made it clear in multiple videos, Mike Evans is my favorite wide receiver in the NFL. Obviously after Alshon Jeffrey now, You got Adam Humphries, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate. That is a lot of weapons for Jameis Winston. The weakness for me is their offensive line. Their offensive line is not very good. Really, outside of Ali Marpet, and I mean, Dotson's solid. That is still an offensive line that is a work in progress. And I have to say there's one area of concern for the Bucs. It's definitely that offensive line. And they have no depth either. So if there's an injury, a costly injury to one of those big guys on that line, I think they could. That 10-6 is going to go down the drain. But the number one team in the NFC South are the Super Bowl runner-up Atlanta Falcons. Why I have going 11-5 with a floor of 9-7. They didn't really have much roster turnover from a year ago. I think you could debatably say they got better. You know, depending on how big of a loss Kyle Shanahan truly comes up. If Steve Sarkisian likes to show up drunk to work, you may have an issue there. But I think the Falcons are certainly poised to have another big year. MVP, I'm not going with Matt Ryan. I'm going with Julio Jones. I don't think Matt Ryan's going to post a similar high stat line that he did last year in terms of touchdowns. I think the yards will probably be fairly high. But like I said, with the change in offensive coordinator, I wouldn't be surprised if Sark wants to run the ball a little bit more. So at least the godly Matt Ryan numbers that he had last year, I think they're going to be down just a little bit. But whose numbers are going to go up? I think Julio Jones, who will feature. He didn't feature in a full slate of games last year. I think he'll be healthy for a full 16. And his stat line is going to be, I'm going to say he's going to be the number one wide receiver, statistically speaking, next year. Bust, I'm going Mohamed Sanu. Just because, you know, last year he wasn't bad, wasn't great, certainly did not live up to the big contract that the Falcons gave him to get him away from the Cincinnati Bengals. And I certainly think right now he's a bust in regard because I think Taylor Gabriel is going to have better stats than Mohamed Sanu. For sleeper, I'm going Grady Jarrett, who had a tremendous playoff. I think he's going to be able to carry that into this upcoming season, the defensive tackle spot, and really stand out alongside with Vic Beasley and now the rookie Takk McKinley as a legit formidable defensive tackle. Maybe get Pro Bowl next year. Look at the first-round draft pick, Takk McKinley. I'm going to say about 5 sacks. I think he is planning to start at defensive end is where I've been seeing it, even though, you know, he can play defensive end, can play linebacker. Versatile type player, but I'm going to say 5 sacks. He'll probably working on a rotation, if not end up being an outright starter by the end of the season. Looking at the strengths of the Atlanta Falcons, it's definitely the skill position players. They're, you know, outside of probably tight end, everything else, all the boxes are ticked. For weakness for me, I just think when I look at the Atlanta Falcons, it's like there's no real weakness on the Atlanta Falcons, but there's just, I don't know what it is. I'm going to put a question mark for the weakness. When you just look at the Falcons, there's just something. I'm going to open this up to you guys to get at me in the comment section, especially if you're not an Atlanta Falcons fan, because Falcons fans are like, oh, we're perfect. There's just something. When I just see the Atlanta Falcons, there's something about them I say, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know what it is right now. I wish I do. It's pissing me off that I can't put one thing. There's just something about this damn Falcons team that doesn't. Is it the linebacker? I mean, Deion Jones is good. Maybe it's the linebackers that's not. I don't know what's popping off here, but let me know what you guys think. What's the one thing that makes the Falcons just. I can't be the only one that sees the Falcons say, damn, that's a good roster, but I don't think they're good enough to beat, like, to contend with the Patriots. Why is that? Is it Dan Quinn? I don't want to throw a former Florida Gator coach under the fucking bus. Is it like, I don't know, man. So let me know what you guys think about that. And that will wrap it up here, guys. Thank you for watching. If it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, C4 saying peace out.